Hi, I'm Kevin Chaos, and today I'm making a documentary. There'll be work on this later. For now, clips. And this documentary is to be called Anti-Human, and you'll see what I mean. What is wrong with the world? A fucking lot. Not that anybody asked for my advice, but I'm going to play around with some of these thoughts and try to say where and why we all seem to go wrong. The first, addiction. But I don't have a problem with that. As I was saying, addiction, problem. We all seem to seek temporary pleasures to feel good. That's a good monster. That is a good monster. It's very interesting even. We're so addicted to pleasure, to excitement, to our desires, that we let it run a fool of us. Whether we're ingesting toxic ingredients, the drink of the beast. I mean, it's even hilarious how we market it right here. The baddest, meanest drink on the planet. But we're willing to sacrifice that health for a good time. Hundreds of percent of the daily recommended value. We overeat, we overfuck, we overfeel. Okay? So the biggest problem in our world, more than likely, is desire. We desire to be admired. So we do things contrary to our nature or to our own health. We sacrifice our desires now for someone else's desire. Oh, a desire to fit in, a desire to be accepted, a desire to have friendship. And so thus we tweak the knob, tune the station, and become a part of the world. Why? Sacrificing intelligence, sacrificing success for health and for family. Just because our feelings, allowing our heart to rule our head. Well, I have a gut feeling that a little bit of awareness and we can do a little bit better than this. Let's explore some of these other ideas. So we're addicted to material pleasures. Our habits and our diets are horrible for us. We know that this is filled with sugar and salt and a bunch of pretty much bullshit empty calories. In Monster's case, it has some ingredients to help make up for what else you're ingesting. But we continue to make these sorts of decisions. We oversleep, overeat, overfuck, and there are a few of us, but most people don't overthink. They don't program themselves. Problem 2. Passivity. We allow the world to program us instead. It's a big, huge problem. People really don't think for themselves. Since we're born, we aren't taught how to think, but rather what we should be thinking. From the paganistic ritual of repeating, I pledge allegiance, down to everything else. We always seem to look to someone else to solve our problems, allowing cults to be formed. Cult of personality, as I was saying. And we form cults. So, for example, in the cult of Christianity, well, let me define that before I unnecessarily offend people. A cult, by definition, is any system of veneration directed towards a particular leader, figure, or group. So next anything can be a cult. Coven of video game players can be a cult. They all are spending their focus, towards the same desire. But we let the herd mentality suck us into allowing other people to speak, and we let our lack of confidence or lack of previous success, not to say that we wouldn't be capable or unknown, rely on other people's approval. We ask, hey, Reverend, that started with Christianity. What do you think? I had this spiritual experience, but I want to know if it's genuine, so now we come to you. While the Bible would otherwise tell you to make a personal relationship with God, somehow you need to follow this guy, a man, a representative for this force or idea. And we do the same thing with the president. We do the same thing with our mayors. We do the same thing everywhere we go. We look to a doctor to tell us his idea of what's right and wrong, while we're still waiting on these different cures while they tackle the symptoms rather than the root of the problem, patching a Band-Aid over it to ignore the issue or mask over it with other drugs. And we call it practicing medicine. Isn't this interesting? We look to a pope. We look to a president. We always seem to look to another figure to let us believe we're right about this or that, or out of our ignorance and lack of interest in studying. Example, a shrink. Okay, I was seeing a therapist, and I walked into her room, and on the back of the door is a poster. And the poster has a picture of a bunch of different colored brains, and it says, which brain would you rather have? Underneath each brain is the name of a drug. Heroin, cocaine, LSD, etc. Underneath the fleshy-looking pink one, it says normal. There's no information on this chart to provide what these colors mean. Instead, you think you want the one that's pink. But, if you have any imagination whatsoever, you probably want the ones all colorful, right? But there's no information on what these colors mean. Literally, nothing to interpret other than that you want a solid color or different combination rainbow hues. And I'm left to turn to the brand new shrink and say, how can I make an educated decision on this? This doesn't make any sense. Is this how you think? Well, the idea is to stay away from drugs. Well, the idea isn't very persuasive then. I like to be informed. I'm informed about drugs before I take them. I make educated decisions. So in abstaining from drugs, I would also choose to make an educated decision. What's up with this color chart? We fast forward a little bit of time, and the shrink sees that I like to make music. I really like to express myself. So she would love to read my lyrics, check out some of my songs. So I come in with a flash drive, Cruiser, SanDisk Micro or whatever. Been a while. But SanDisk is my favorite brand, and I come in with this flash drive. Actually, I love that the tip folds inside itself. And I say, well, here's some of my songs, as it stands so far. She opens up a notepad with the text document lyrics, because I did provide both audio and the visual text documents for her, so that she can do whatever works for her. She reads a line, reads another line, scrolls down, reads a random line, and is all ready to tell me what she thinks. I say, I don't even want to hear what you have to say. You have no idea what I'm saying. You have no idea what I wrote there. You read a couple lines. What if I wrote metaphor? What if it's creative writing? What if there's sarcasm? I don't want to hear what you have to say. This is entirely uneducated. And that's the problem, you see, folks. We act entirely uneducated, no matter what we know better than. This woman has to go through, at least 4 years of schooling to get this position. So she's taught to memorize some outdated information of whatever the science meant in that field then, right? Gets to feel justified and entitled. You now have a title. Doctor, right? Therapist. Insert other labels here. So you go through all this schooling, and now you feel like you know it all. And you're all ready to give out answers. But the fact of the matter is you don't think you have been programmed. So the problem is that we don't program ourselves. We allow the world to do it. Old people are no exception to this. Old people are probably the worst. Old people say, my grandmother, an example, you don't get to be 63, and every year since, the new number, without learning a little something. And her past of not being able to be right, not being, other people not admitting defeat in debates or whatever, why do you even need them to? You know when you're right and wrong, hopefully, or you should research and find out for sure. But she likes to do that. You don't get to be an X age without learning something. So I'm self-entitled to intelligence because I've been here a while. It's not exactly how it works, and I love her to death, but that's not a valid argument. And you do get to know something, but not all things. And this is called entitlement. You feel that your age has given you wisdom. But over all things, an entitlement to be right? I don't believe so. You should always be open to new information. At the end of the day, feel and be whoever you want to be. But it doesn't make you right just because you have a title, a label, or an age. I think another great problem we have in the world is the mask. We're taught to lie since birth, really. How'd you get that bruise? Your mom or dad whooped your ass, right? You're supposed to lie. You're never supposed to really show your true face. And so we go around wearing different outfits. This person doesn't like this word. Fag. Gay. Gay used to mean happy at one point. That shows you how versatile language is, but we're supposed to take delicate sensibilities over words. And so we adapt yet our language in the same way we adapt our outfits. In some places, some families, and some statuses, we dress down, which I call dressing up, for dinner. Putting on a certain outfit for dinner. And then we put on a certain outfit to go to church. We put on a certain outfit these days, a uniform to go to school, sacrificing our identity continuously to fit in with the herd. And in the new world, it's even scarier. In the new world, people don't even understand their own identities. That's how bad it's gotten. We sit in television programming, program ourselves with common repetitive themes. For example, gay rights before it was widely acceptable. Regardless of your personal opinion on the subject, it was ushered in. It was indoctrinated to allow it to become a normal. Being straight is practically taboo now. Random gay scenes just thrown into movies, thrown into your Netflix, thrown into programming. They have nothing to do with anything else whatsoever. It has nothing to do with the plot. The relationship even often isn't even related to the plot. Just thrown in there to make it a little bit more normal. In the same way that we watch horror and we become desensitized to fear. I personally might die one day from not having the proper fight or flight response because my mom raised me since babyhood on horror. But now we have it even worse. People believe they're a dragon or a fox. They're born into the wrong bodies. They're not the right gender. Now, feelings and thoughts and brain chemistry, you can shift this around and you can feel and you can choose to be whatever you want. But biologically speaking, it's rather observable what you are. Who you are is not the same thing as what you are. Who you are is whatever you choose. We are professional actors on a stage. What you are, unfortunately, is human and male or female or hermaphrodite, Hermes Aphrodite. But we're in this identity crisis age where nobody really knows what they are. And we're all attacking each other's identity. Black Lives Matter. All lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. That own statement defeats the purpose, saying that black lives aren't part of all lives. So all lives, black lives can't be part of all lives. They can't matter until all lives matter. All lives matter can't matter until black lives matter. It's literally a statement that defeats itself, an oxymoron, unfortunately. And the way that we're going about this right to defend ourselves is to such an extreme that it ultimately defeats the purpose. We're going and making violent protests in extreme situations to prove that we're unjustified, targeted by the police, and that we're not really violent, that these things are an exaggeration while we go out and prove it with the very thing that's being accused. That is not really going to help our cause. So we don't really think our movement's through. Again, this goes back to the beginning. Desire getting the best of us. Our emotions ruling our head. You need a structured movement if you want change. Anybody who wants to change the world, you need to make a structured movement. But that leads into another problem we have. Fear ruling and dominating the mass. When Obama was in office, a law passed. I'll try to post information below as I research it again. That literally allows the media to lie to you. You've heard Trump say fake news, although he might overuse this card. There's more truth to it than there isn't. They're legally allowed to lie to you. So at what point are you going to stop letting your desires rule you? And you're going to stop allowing people to speak in, through, and for you? You're taught since birth simply to go with what's going on. And now we're being taught to revolt, to divide, to hate each other in every way possible for every shape we can take. I say, whether we allow it to happen or not, that the identity crisis is a mental illness. Gay was considered a mental illness. I don't think any kind of exploration of your mind, soul, or chemistry is necessarily a bad thing, but when you forsake the literal facts that you already have, it becomes an illness, like schizophrenia, having spiritual and imaginative experiences over time overtaking you. You'll notice common themes, for example, of a lot of these people were addicted to comic books and to anime, and their imagination and the characters became larger than life, until their own voice, their original opinions slowly get drowned out by the bombardment in the subconscious of the extra noise of all that's being suggested to them through the programming, through the media, through the television shows, through the common themes. As yoga teaches us, what we do on a daily basis defines us, and we are the sum of the many stories we tell ourselves. So what stories do you tell yourself? Do you tell yourself any stories at all? Or do you allow the other more experienced intermediaries to be the storyteller in your life? See no, hear no, speak no evil. By all means, stand up for yourself. By all means, disagree with the world. But a problem that we have in each and every religion and subcult expressing peace is that it's hating on everything else to do so, therefore contradicting its message of peace. Anybody who doesn't believe what I believe is going to go to hell. I suggest you read up on that. But we project our hatred and our dislike of the things that aren't agreeable to us. Before a lot of these cults and before Christianity, we would use, rather than good and evil, words more like agreeable and disagreeable, like the polarity in a battery, like positive and negative, like day and night. Both were necessary to make a whole. They both actually can complement each other. Water puts out fire. This video will have to be compiled of several clips and put together and orchestrated through a computer in the near future. In the meantime, I will likely upload segments of it for you to get some of these ideas and for you to meditate on them. But in the long run, it will be a documentary, very organized, and with examples and catastrophes and news clips and ideas of the world to fit into this. Hope that you've enjoyed some of these ideas and you wake yourself up from these programmings and these habits in your life by replacing them with your own habits. Go from the programming to the programmer and program yourself to have a better time. My name is Kevin Chaos.